Happy Tip Day. This one is called about designated agency. It's something that I find quite often that we have forgotten to do correctly. It's not something we see a lot, but it is something that we're seeing more and more as we have fantastic agents in our company that are representing the buyer and the seller. So I want to share with you how you fill that out. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get into the purchase and sale agreement. So, designated agency is when the broker has a client relationship or a customer relationship, but if it's a client relationship with both the buyer and the seller, that is not dual agency. That's designated agency. So basically, as the broker, yes, we have a buyer brokerage agreement and we have an exclusive sale or lease agreement or whatever, right? So I'm representing both of them. The broker is representing both of them as clients. However, let's say Sean is the listing agent and Simone is the buyer's agent. Well, they're both in the Maximum One Community Realtors company. They are representing their clients themselves, but that's considered designated agency. So what that means is down here in the brokerage relationships in this transaction, you would not fill it out like buyer's broker is Maximum One Community Realtors and is representing buyer as a client. Seller's broker is Maximum One Community Realtors and is representing seller as a client. That is actually the perfect definition of what designated agency is. It means that the broker has basically designated Sean and Simone, for instance, to be one representing the buyer as a client, one representing the seller as a client. So the way you would write that out is buyer's broker is Maximum One Community Realtors and is acting as a designated agent where Simone has been assigned to exclusively represent the buyer. The seller's broker is Maximum One Community Realtors and is acting as a designated agent where Sean has been assigned to exclusively represent the seller. So, and it doesn't matter if you're in the same office or not. What matters is if you are in the same company. So, for instance, Mark Allen, who's here in our LJ office, might have a deal with Chelsea Dotson in our Rome office. He's actually been in Rome today shopping houses. So, what happens if that's the case? Well, his purchase and sale agreement, when he makes that offer, would be buyer's broker is Maximum One Community Realtors acting as a designated agent where Mark Allen has been assigned to exclusively represent the buyer. And seller's broker is Maximum One Community Realtors and is acting as a designated agent where Chelsea Dodson has been assigned to exclusively represent the seller. I know it's a little tiny thing, but it is a compliance issue, and it's just something that I think we forget about, that there is something called designated agency. That is what designated agency is. Now, I will say this. We have two different companies that are active in Georgia. One is a realtor company, people belonging to a board. One is a non-realtor company. Now, not all offices have the non-board even option. So let's say, just use the same situation. Let's say Mark Allen is showing properties in Rome, and he comes across one that is actually listed by someone in Maximum One Community Realty Company. Okay. If that's the case, yes, you guys are both with Max One Community, but you're actually with two separate brokerages. So then that would be where you would write in buyer's broker is Maximum One Community Realtors and is representing buyer as a client. Seller's broker is Maximum One Community Realty and is representing the seller as a client. Okay, two completely different companies. Even though they're both under me and I'm the broker for both, they are two separate entities. So I just wanted to clear up some confusion on that. We've run into that a couple of times where, I call and say, hey, I don't know if you realize this, but this is actually supposed to be designated agency. We don't do dual agency. And so if you run into, ending up with a customer or something like that, you definitely can describe that on here. Now, actually, let's talk about that real quick too. Since this is not a really long agent tip, and I want to give you all your bang for your buck. If you are the listing agent, let's say a seller's broker is Maximum One Community Realtors and is representing the seller as a client, and you get a sign call, and your buyer comes along and they say, I don't want to be represented. And you have gone over the customer agreement with them. They understand that you cannot give them any advice. You can only handle ministerial duties. And we actually might do a separate agent tip on this. You would then put buyer's broker is Maximum One Community Realtors and is representing, working with the buyer as a customer. Okay, so working with the buyer as a customer, that's how you would fill that out. Now, when you get down to the bottom, this has happened a lot with FSBOs, where people think, well, I'm not really representing them, but you kind of are. Like, you have to have some sort of a customer relationship because you're helping to facilitate the sale. It's just ministerial duties and you're not giving them advice. They may not even be paying you on the seller side, but if you are, let's say, a buyer's agent and you go after for sale by owner, but both sides down here have to be filled out with your information. As the buyer's affiliated licensee, contact information, buyer brokerage firm, licensee signature, all of this needs to be filled out. Needs to be filled out and signed on both sides by you. If you have a customer and you have a client, okay? That's just a little bonus for you. I hope you enjoy that little bonus, but now designated agency hopefully is really, really clear. And if you have any questions, please give me a call. I am always happy to help, happy to be your broker. Thank you. Have a good day.